Hi, I'm Natalie Jill, fat loss expert turned high performance coach. When odds are stacked against us, how do we shift and create everything from nothing? How do we level up when we aren't feeling it yet or we've had a big setback? On this podcast, I'll be talking to some of the most inspiring and courageous men and women on this planet who, at their worst, learned how to achieve success greater than they ever dreamed possible, leveling up and creating everything from nothing. I first learned of Isabel Price and Beyond diet years ago when the company and her face seemed to be everywhere on the internet. Isabel Price is the co-founder and creator of the wildly successful internet-based nutrition program Beyond Diet, which is in its 10th year, having sold over 2 million programs to people all over the world. Now, I met Isabel in person about a year ago and got to know the authentic human being behind the mega brand. As Isabel's small group coach in a leadership program that she was in, I had a front row seat to witnessing a new passion emerge in her. She decided in that moment to take on a new movement, a faith-based project called the New Life Purpose. Isabel's new program, The New Life Promise, combines her love for nutrition and her faith to begin to change the conversations around weight loss and health from one of guilt and shame to one of love, compassion, and surrender. Join in today and learn how Isabel Price continually levels up and creates everything from nothing. Today on Leveling Up, I've got my friend Isabel Price, who founded Beyond Diet. And we were talking today, right before we started recording, about how people innately know what they should be doing, but they don't always do it. And I'm so glad to have you here today, Isabel, talking on this topic because you've got so much experience with this, from how you started your business to who you've served to how you've even transitioned and what you were doing now. So thanks for joining me here today.
Oh, of course, Natalie. This is going to be great.
Yeah. So Isabel, I got to be honest, when I first saw you, it was not by choice. It was from being online. Anything that was diet, nutrition, health, sugar, any of those buzzwords, your ads were popping up. And that was my first exposure to Isabel with Beyond Diet. So I want to know, who were you before all of that? Because people see you everywhere on the internet and they've seen you everywhere on the internet for the last 10 years. But who were you before that? And how did you even get started in that?
Yeah, so my story starts like a lot of people, where you have a personal situation that leads you into what you're doing. And that was the case for me. My mom was a type 2 diabetic and she was very, very sick. And when I mean very, very sick, her type 2 diabetes got so bad that she lost kidney function. She had to be on dialysis, and dialysis is really horrible and just really wears on your body. So for 4 years, she was on dialysis, hooked up to this machine, keeping her alive. And really, she was dying a slow death. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. And for me, that just made me so passionate about learning, like, okay, what could we do different? Like, what does she need to do? And, you know, Natalie, like when we started 10 years ago, there wasn't as much information online as there is now. Now you get diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, you just kind of look it up and you're like, all right, what should I do?
Yeah.
But I was still able to find a lot of great information. And my mom just didn't really even want to hear it. You know, it's kind of different when your daughter's telling you what to do. But then 4 years into dialysis, my mom had the opportunity to get a kidney transplant. And once she got the transplant, that was it. She was like, Isabel, I'm going to do everything that I have to do to take care of myself, because I feel like I'm given a second chance on life. So I really helped her. And it wasn't easy for her. You know, change is hard. And I know we're going to talk about that now. But she really did completely change what she was doing and ended up thriving for 9 more years after that. So it was this like plan that I created for my mom that I ended up selling on the internet, and selling it on the internet very successfully. So it was just pretty amazing. Like what started out as, hey, mom, I want to help you, really ended up helping like millions of people online, which is just awesome.
Yeah. So back up a minute, because you obviously were always interested in nutrition and health. That was a passion of yours. And you're creating this for your mom to help her. What even got you thinking, like, let me put this on the internet, let me reach other people? And did you ever have how did that even start? And how did you create it to be the massive empire that it became?
So I never really thought that it would be this big, but I somehow stumbled across Craig Valentine, who you know
Mhm.
as well, and he was
Yep.
selling stuff online. So I bought a course that he was selling, and I'm like, wow, these people are seriously selling a lot online. And I reached out to him, and he was like, well, I have a mastermind group. The mastermind group was $10,000. And Natalie,
Mhm.
at that point, $10,000 might as well have been like $10 million.
Yeah, I
I
get
mean,
that.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
I had no money. And my boyfriend at the time, who's my husband now, was like, we'll pull together credit cards. I'll sell stuff on eBay. And that's really what we did. I mean, we kind of maxed out our credit cards. He sold like anything and everything on eBay. And Craig Valentine really showed me what to
Ooh.
do. And then it was just one thing led to another, which, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but which is why I always say to people, like, find someone who's doing what you want to do
Mhm.
and ask them how they did it, and they'll tell you how, and then do what they tell you. Like, that's really it.
Yeah. So I want to ask about that. I don't want to get too off track, but this is important here because this blocks a lot of people. So people hear, I need a mentor, I need to ask somebody what to do. And then they hear that number, whether it's 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, and they're blocked. I mean, some people are blocked at $1,000, right? And they
Yeah.
have this story. I don't have it. I don't have it. Can you speak into that? Because at that time, as you said, you didn't have it. You used eBay and put things together. Can you speak a little bit into how you made that decision and about investing in yourself?
Yeah. So I really made the question not how am I going to get the money, it wasn't whether or not I was going to do it. The question was truly like, okay, well, just how am I going to get this money? That's it. So I think a lot of people ask the wrong question. And I
Mm.
know that Tony Robbins says that a lot, like you're just not asking yourself the right questions. And that was really it. So it wasn't whether or not I was going to do it. Like that was just it. Like I was doing it. And I didn't even have to convince Stuart all that much. He was like,
Mhm.
yes, like I know you can do this. And yes, that really is an advantage when you have a partner or a spouse that's very supportive. So I do have to give him a lot of credit.
Sure.
But basically, I just asked a different question. The question was how, not whether or not. So I think if you truly believe in something, just ask yourself the right question. Because here's the thing, the $10,000 or the $1,000, it already exists. It's already out there. Now it's just a matter of you finding it. And people have to remember that, like they think that, oh, well, I don't have that money. Well, that's okay if you don't have it. Like
Mhm.
it exists. Now you just have to go and find it.
I
And
love that
yeah.
perspective. I love
Mhm.
that perspective. And I believe it. That's what's served you well just in business too. I think it seems to be that's how you've lived your life, and especially in the business world of like, you have this vision and then you figure out the how. You make sure
Exactly.
it's
That's
going to happen.
that's just it. And even now, I know we're going to talk about my new project a little bit, but even now I'm like these people that I'm trying to reach, they're already there. Now the right question I have to ask myself is how do I access them? That's it. That's the
Yeah.
question every day. How do I access them? That's it.
So you found Craig, you joined him out, you invested in yourself, which I think is huge for people. That's a big first step, to invest in yourself and make a decision that you are, you're ready to make a change. You're going to do it. You're going to find a way. So then you followed. I also love what you said. You followed a formula of somebody that had already done it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's like my whole life, Natalie. Like, I just find a formula, even when it comes down to parenting. Like, we get a lot of compliments on our kids and their behavior. And I'm not just saying that because they're my kids. I'm saying that because I read so many books on how to really like teach children the right discipline and how they should behave and how to be present with them. So again, that was like a formula.
Mhm.
Like I couldn't figure that out myself. The same way in my business, the same way with my health. And so I would say that's just a huge theme in my life. I just find the formula, find the person that's already done it, and then just follow it. And I think what happens with people is that they get lost in the following of it, right? Like
Yeah.
they might follow the person on Instagram, but instead of like dissecting what they're doing, they're like too busy being jealous or like too busy like comparing. Like, no, like God
Yeah.
bless you. Like it's phenomenal what you're doing. Now let me just dissect it and figure out how I can do it myself.
Absolutely. I love it. I love that because you're right. People look at it, they're jealous. I can't do, they make up a story. I can't do that, instead of just asking for help and following and learning from them.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. So, okay. So you follow his formula and you literally blew up online. I mean, let me just say, you took over the health and fitness and nutrition and diet space. How did that happen? So you follow what he's doing, but obviously there's a point where you just kind of blew that out of the water. So do you remember that transition and when that happened and how?
Yeah, I really do. It was the willingness to innovate and not do what everybody else was doing, which was so scary. So for 2 years, we tried to do it with just a regular, let's call it website and a landing page, which was what everybody else was doing, like a long form sales copy page. And then my business partner, Jeff, who's still my business partner now, went to a conference and they were talking about video sales letters. And it was creating a sales letter that is a video and is about 45 minutes long, which sounds insane. Like somebody's going to sit there and watch a video. And when he came back from the conference and posed this idea to me, I'm like, you're nuts. We're not doing that. And he was like, but nobody else is doing it. And we have the opportunity to be one of the first ones. And I'm like, yeah, but nobody else has proven it. And he's like, okay, but we can. And that was such like a lesson for me, because now sometimes like I'll say to Craig, who I'm still such great friends with, I'll be like, Craig, I just don't know. Like, I don't really know other Christian women who are doing what I'm doing. And he's just like, well, then you make it up. You know what I mean? Like you innovate. So basically what happened is we created one of the first VSLs, video sales letters, and it blew up on the internet.
Still remember, I can still hear it in my voice. Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is Isabel.
Yeah.
I remember those ads. Yes.
Yeah. And it was just really, and again, like at this point, I have to give credit to my business partner, and I did trust him. So I was like, okay, I trust you. Let's do this together. And we could like go off on a tangent on business partners and having to trust each other, but, and it worked. So we continue to ask ourselves that question all the time. Like, this is what everyone is doing. How do we innovate again? How do we innovate again? And that's kind of hard on the internet now in 2019. I totally get it. But you have to be willing to take that risk and innovate. So already we've talked about like 2 huge risks, which is the financial risk of investing in yourself and then the risk of innovating. And, let's face it, being an entrepreneur and doing something big is risky sometimes.
Yes. I also want to touch on this, and this is going to lead into where you've shifted and grown. I fully believe, and I really feel this interviewing the people that I've interviewed, and then looking at myself and then talking to you right now, is that success follows your passion and your purpose. So I think another reason that this became so successful for you is you were super passionate and on purpose for it, because you had this driving core motivator of helping your mom. And helping others like that. So, and it sounds like because of the financial spot you were in, investing yourself, you were determined to pay that back and make more, obviously. So passion and purpose seems to be a huge part. Can you speak into that a little bit?
Yeah. So people would ask me like, wow, the way you come across in that video sales letter, I could see why people want to watch it and listen to it. And they would be like, did you take a speaking course? Did somebody teach you that? And I'm like, no, I literally am this passionate about it. Like when your mom was almost dead, literally, and now she's not, you have information that can help people. So you really have to be that passionate. And look, passion's not going to be everything. But if you cannot get on the Instagram Live and the Facebook Live and just really have that just natural passion for something, then you should probably be talking about something else, and whatever that is.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to be able to teach you that. Like Craig couldn't have taught me that. Craig taught me the strategy, but he didn't teach me like, okay, so now you're going to film videos and this is how you're going to, talk to your audience. You just have to want to.
And I feel that that's something that people miss the boat on. They think they look at it just for how can I make money versus what am I actually passionate about and what do I offer? What can I teach? And I think the money follows that when you pick something you're actually passionate about.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a big mistake I made many, many times is I would see other people doing videos and doing really well. And then I would try and be them. And then like that video would just be a total flop. I'm like, of course it was a total flop. It wasn't Isabel. It was like Isabel trying to be somebody else. So I made that mistake. I really did. And I have to remind myself all the time, like, just be Isabel. Like just be
you. Yeah, just be you. Okay, so you could have stopped here. I mean, 10 years, your business thriving, owning the internet. I mean, it really does own the internet. So, but living true to your purpose, you have shifted. And I want to talk about that because this is another huge lesson in leveling up and about creating everything from nothing again. Talk to me about where you were last year at this time, and what has changed. Where
Yeah.
are you headed and why? And I have so many questions about that because and I'm sure listeners are going to also. So let's dive into that.
Yeah. So about a year ago, and maybe even a little bit before that, like sales for Beyond Diet started to go down some, but because we have a lot of people on recurring subscriptions and, it's still all over the internet, it was fine, but it wasn't quite exploding the way it was before. And my business partner and I kind of went back and forth and were like, well, things are much, much harder on the internet now. And, you tend to look at like external factors.
Excuses.
And
Yeah.
yeah, like, oh, I don't know, marketing's a little harder, yada, yada, yada. Like whatever, it was always hard.
Yeah. It's always Facebook's fault.
Yeah, right? Like the algorithm changed.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
no. But for me, it was really, I needed to look like internally. And this is where you and I met, Natalie, right? And
Yep.
I do a leadership course and you were one of the trainers there. And it really gave me an opportunity to dig into what am I really passionate about and what do I want to talk about? And that's what was missing from the business. That's why it was no longer exploding.
Yes.
So basically that, and again, that's another lesson in investing in yourself, right? Because it's like, the financial commitment, the time to be there, and just the willingness to look at yourself and be like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And it was really at that, that leadership course where I realized that I want to teach people from a place of faith, because I feel like my faith, and I'm a Christian, has really gotten so much stronger over the past 10 years. And it was a part of me that was missing in my marketing. And I was like kind of afraid to talk about it, honestly, Natalie. I was just like, I don't know, like if people aren't Christians, they're not really going to want to hear it. So I just came home from that and was like, I have to do this. I literally, have to like, this sounds so silly, like come out as a Christian, like, but, I knew that was passionate about. And there was a moment at that conference, I don't even know if you remember, where we were in a small group and you were leading it and everybody was like sharing something that they were going to shift or something they were struggling with. And for every single one of the examples that everyone gave, I had a Bible verse for it, right? Like even to the point where it was like kind of funny. And I was like, wait, I love this. Like, this is what I want to do. So then shortly after that, I came home, I was praying about it. And then would you believe that it was my business partner, who's not a Christian, he's Jewish, said to me, Isabel, enough is enough. Like, it's time that we go 100% into what you're truly passionate about. Because when you give the world what you're passionate about, that's when everything thrives. So it was just amazing, Natalie, like that once you truly make that decision for yourself, how God will just shift everything around you and make it work. I know a lot of people will say like the universe. I say God. But it was just amazing to me that it wasn't me that went to him. It was him that came to me and was like, here's what we need to do. And I truly believe in you. So which is just nuts.
It's incredible. And I see a pattern, and this is something that we've talked about with so many guests, like, and it really is this simple. It can be as simple as this. When you decide something, and deciding always comes first, when you actually decide and it's in your body and you decide it, and then you declare it, that's when everything starts to shift. And I think what happens, and it could have happened to you and it didn't, is we get so stuck on all the reasons why we shouldn't. So, and just for listeners, you had a million reasons why you shouldn't, right? You're a mom, you've got a family, depending on this business that you had a business partner, you have a ton of employees, depending on you, you had a complete list of customers, membership site. You had a million reasons why you shouldn't do this. And then you couple that with, are they going to be offended at my choice or whatever it is? Your Jewish business partner, when you said you're Christian, all of this, you had a million reasons why, but you decided, you declared it, and you were going to follow your purpose, and look what's shifted.
I mean, I'm still in amazement when I talk about it, because it was scary and it still is scary. I mean, just to put it in perspective, the Beyond Diet Facebook page has 2 million followers, and my new site and my new product, the New Life Promise, has like 99 followers. I mean, literally like 99. Yeah. And it's just, I'm like starting from scratch, like the new VSL just went out this morning. Like, it's just all. But you know what? Like, I know what I'm capable of now. I know what I can do. And this is it. Like, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. And, thankfully, this time around, I have Beyond Diet to kind of back it up, right? It's not like in the beginning where I was starting from scratch, but it's even harder sometimes to stay in your comfort zone when you're so comfortable, right? And I could have just sat around and been like, well, this Beyond Diet thing, I'll just ride it out like as long as I can,
But don't you think, looking back right now on this decision, like, and I can say, just knowing you and seeing your energy shift, it's so powerful, because I think people stay so stuck in their head on why they shouldn't do something. You almost torture yourself being stuck in your head. It's once you make that decision and rip that Band-Aid off, it's like freedom. It's complete freedom. And I watched you physically light up when you made the decision.
It felt so freeing. I felt like a weight had been lifted, even though I wasn't necessarily carrying around a weight, but work started to become so tedious. And that's when I knew something needed to change. I was like, wait, why am I jumping on Facebook Live and really like not caring either way? And you know what? I want to care about our customers.
Yes.
I want to care about what I do. And I just was sort of just, And it was because there was such a huge part of me that wasn't there.
Yes.
And, for people listening, you have to trust yourself. I know that can be so hard sometimes, but trust yourself. And then Natalie, you were also a huge help, because like, you did not let me back down into my excuses. I mean, you just didn't. You were like, I could say anything and you were like, oh, really? Well, is that really true? And I'd be like, oh, like this. So, again, why a coach is really important. Mentors are so important.
Sure. What's interesting is that things will work itself out now. And I want people to hear this too, like that 2 million number. What's interesting is 2 million fans is not the same as, you said you have 99 on your new page, as 99 loyal customers passionately following you. So I want people to hear that too, because you don't need 2 million. You want to make a difference in who you want to make a difference in. So getting out of that number hang up is huge as well. And okay, so talk to us now. What's now? What is going to happen, and what is happening with Beyond Diet? And talk to us about this new venture and what that means and who that's for.
So Beyond Diet will still be there. And I have a lot of employees and they're wonderful. So they're still running it. And I kind of show up there on Facebook Live and newsletters every once in a while. But the new project is called the New Life Promise. And basically it's still the same nutritional principles as far as taking care of your body. But now we go deeper into maybe why aren't you doing all of these things that you should be doing? And we dive into the shame and the guilt that a lot of people carry around because they've been overweight for some time. We talk about, what is your God? Like, is your God food? Is it social media? Is it money? Like, what are you truly, quote unquote, worshiping? So we kind of go there, and for Christians, they use the Bible as a guide, right? So that's what we use. So really specifically, it is for Christians or anyone who's open-minded or wants to use the Bible as their guide, not because we're going to decide what food we're going to eat. I know there's a lot of programs out there that are like, oh, and the Bible says to eat this and not to eat this. Like, it's not about that at all. It's really about really digging into yourself and figuring out what is holding you back.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, because look, it's not the difference between, kale and potato chips. Okay, people know, right?
Yes, we know not to eat M&Ms and Doritos.
Right?
There's no magic secret. Yes.
Yeah. And I think, for you, it's the same, Natalie, right? Like you've taken what you teach and people know what to do, but you've up-leveled it, many levels. So that's what the new program is. It's called the New Life Promise. And I take people through 7 days of really digging into themselves and their emotions and what's held them back in the past, and why are they not choosing the foods and the activities that they know they should be doing. I really encourage them to make a commitment to themselves. There's a commitment page. There's prayers throughout it.
I love this.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff that really helped my mom. There was such a piece of the story that I never told anyone, and that is that my mom became a Christian during this time that she shifted her health, right? So she got the transplant. She was, struggling to make changes, but she was making those changes. So I guess in a way I'm still telling my mom's story, but now I'm like filling in that missing piece that no one really ever heard. And there was a part of me that was like, I don't think people really want to hear this part. And now what I'm seeing is, yes, this is what people want to hear, because this is what they're going through.
And it's not just that. What I'm really hearing from you, what's coming out really strong, what's coming up for me is how authentic you are now. I feel like you were hiding a big part of your passion and purpose before. And this is the authentic you. And that's where I feel you will shine. And this is going to explode because you're coupling your knowledge with what you know with your authentic self.
Yeah. And, I had a call with Ed Milet last week, and he actually said the same exact thing that you just said, Natalie, which was, Isabel, it doesn't matter how many followers you have. What matters is that each one of those followers really, really resonates with you, right? Like an authentic, really like committed follower. So that's truly what's happening already with just the few sales that we've gotten in over the, past couple of days. People already writing in and being like, I prayed for something like this, and I know that God brought me here. And that just, has to start with you, like had to start with me. So, if it doesn't reach 2 million, that's okay. And it's just really connecting with people from a really, really authentic place. And my business partner said to me, he said, Isabel, it's not fair to the rest of the world that I get a version of you that they won't ever see.
Wow.
Right. This is when he was trying to like convince me, because, even though he's Jewish, we've been, the best of friends for 25 years, he's gotten plenty of Christian Isabel, right. over the past year. And he's just like, I just think the rest of the world should get this version of you the way I do. And that was it. He said that. And I was like, I'm in.
Yes, incredible. I'm so proud of you. And I know this is going to absolutely blow up. What would you tell, there's a question I ask everybody on this show. And this really, I'm dying to hear your answer for this. If somebody's in your position right now, I usually say they're stuck and they're in their own rock bottom. I'm not even going to say that this time, but they're stuck in their current circumstance. Let's go with that. Like they're either in corporate, maybe they're in corporate America, maybe they're in the wrong business. Maybe they're just going through the motions in a business that they've run and built, but they know that there is more for them. What are 3 things you would tell them so they can start leveling up and creating everything from nothing?
3 things I would tell them is, the first thing is, and of course I'm a Christian, and I would say is to establish a relationship with God, whatever that looks like for you. And I would say to find someone who's going to open-mindedly, not in a judgmental way, maybe guide you through that, right? And Natalie, you and I know we have a lot of friends that have different relationships, right, with God, and prayer looks different for each one of them, and each one of them approaches the Bible differently. Like, find that non-judgmental person that's going to help you through that if you don't have that already. Because I have to say, prayer has just been throughout my journey with Beyond Diet and Business. I mean, without that, I don't know that I would have gotten to this point in my life. So that's first and foremost. The second thing is to find a coach or a mentor. I'm probably maybe like the millionth person that they've heard this from, but I just can't stress it enough. And I think listening to podcasts like this is extremely helpful. This is like a form of coaching and mentoring, really. But I think there's something to be said to have that person. I mean, and Natalie, I had you last year, even though it was just for a few days, right? And I had Craig Valentine, to be there and give you the strategy and encourage you, like, you can do this and this is how you're going to do it, right? Like to establish your formula. And the third one, and I feel like people have such a hard time with this one, and is, actually maybe it's third and fourth, is the first one is trust yourself. Trust yourself. Like, you can trust that voice inside you, and to no longer compare to other people, right? And again, that's one that we hear all the time. Like, it's all over social media, like comparison is the thief of joy, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, that's great that we see it and we read it, but are we actually doing it?
Absolutely.
Or is it still kind of dancing in our mind, like, oh, and this one's doing this and this one's doing that. So that's what I would say. I would say to really establish a relationship with God, find a great mentor that can give you that strategy to follow, and then to trust yourself and stop the comparison game. And that's something that they can start like right now.
So good. So good. Thank you, Isabel. This has been amazing. Where can people find you? Where can they find your new program? Where do you want them to look for you?
So everything is on my site, which is isabeldprice.com. And I'm spending most of my time on Instagram now, which is Isabel D. Price. So that's where they can find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Natalie. This has been great.
Thanks for leveling up with us today. Please share this episode if you found it helpful so others can join in. And don't forget to hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on future shows. And if you would leave me a 5-star review, I appreciate those so much. I read all of them, and it's how I know that I'm giving you information that you find valuable. And come interact with me over on Instagram at Natalie Jill Fit. I read all the direct messages and comments over there. Make it a great day, creating everything from nothing.